Hi, good afternoon. Hi, Lindsey. My name is Amanda Brown. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Neurology at Johns Hopkins University. My research is focused on how HIV infection of the brain causes inflammation and neuronal injury. So I'm happy to be here to talk with you about the Keystone Symposia conferences.
Hi, Amanda. It's very nice to meet you. I'm Lindsey Trevino, and I'm a postdoc at Texas A&M Health Science Center. And my research is currently focused on looking at how early life exposure to environmental chemicals can lead to adult disease later in life, particularly liver diseases and metabolic diseases. And I'm a Keystone Fellow from 2016. So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you about the Keystone Symposia conferences, because actually I've never been to one. And so I know that you've been to a few of them, and I was wondering what the typical structure of these conferences are.
And listening to your research focus, that sounds really, really pertinent and cutting edge, and so probably perfect for attendance at one of the Keystone Fellow Symposia conferences. These are smaller meetings in which there aren't concurrent sessions. So you've been to those, large meetings where there's thousands of people, but these are smaller, tend to be smaller, maybe 100. Some meetings can be as small as 100 to up to maybe 300 individuals. And so all the sessions are concurrent, and they're usually the keynote speakers are leaders in their particular field. And one of the really interesting things and why the Keystone meetings year after year attract such excellent attendance is because cutting edge and unpublished research is often presented at those meetings.
Okay.
There are also poster sessions that provide an opportunity to network more closely with your peers and with faculty in your field and maybe outside your field. Many of the meetings can be interdisciplinary in nature. It kind of sounds like your research can draw from several different specialties.
Okay. So would I just be, as a trainee, able to present posters, or would I be giving a talk? Or, I mean, because I kind of, sometimes speaking in front of people is very intimidating. And so I'm just wondering, as a trainee, if you submit an abstract, what you might expect in terms of presentation style.
Well, definitely posters are one of the highlights, actually, of the meeting. And they are also a social as well as a scientific venue, and the faculty are very interested in your research, so you will get a lot of opportunity to actually present. So even though you may not be presenting on a podium, you actually are presenting in front of your poster, and that's a really important skill to have. But in addition, it's possible that your talk could be selected for a short talk, because I know many of the Keystone Symposium meetings, while there's a uniform format, there are opportunities for trainees, both at the graduate and the postdoctoral level, to actually give oral presentations.
Okay. So what would I expect in terms of, would it be just you said there's 100 to 300 people. Is it just a room full of faculty, and that's kind of scary? Or are there other trainees that'll be there, graduate students, postdocs? I mean, what do the numbers look like? I would be afraid to be the only, young investigator in the room.
Oh, right. I would say probably, I actually don't know the actual numbers. But I would say the majority, if you consider the graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, early career faculty level, that's probably the majority.
Oh, nice.
Because the faculty, they're going to bring their training, but often you're attracting people from all over the world. I mean, these are international meetings, and so thinking back, on the meetings that I've attended. Yeah, I would say probably more than half are trainees.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I've been to some endocrine society meetings before and some other big meetings. And this particular meeting, there are basic researchers and they're clinicians and they're people from industry. So what does the typical meeting look like for the Keystone Symposia conferences? Do you have people represented from different areas that I could talk to if I was, say, interested in going into industry later or something? Would those kind of people be at the meeting?
Oh, most definitely. In fact, individuals from both scientists, from both academia and industry, the pharmaceutical industry, are actually on the Keystone Scientific Advisory Board. So they are intimately involved in organizing and planning and of the Keystone Symposia conferences.
Oh,
So
nice.
you will have the opportunity to network and engage with scientists from all different walks and fields, and even from the National Institute of Health. So, that's another really powerful thing about the Keystone Symposia conferences is that they actually help to set the scientific agenda. So, attending these meetings and getting involved, and of course, the other training opportunities that you're probably curious about that Keystone has
Yeah.
is an incredible opportunity.
Right, right. And so, as a fellow, I have been involved in these scientific advisory board meetings and setting the agenda for a Keystone meeting. And so, I can attest to, and you can too, because you're a fellow as well, you can attest to the fact that that's a really powerful program and that it's been very beneficial. I'm a current fellow, and so I've only been to one meeting, but it's been very beneficial and very eye-opening for me already. So I think that's really good. I hope that was your experience as well.
Oh, most definitely. It was so powerful with, meeting other trainees such as ourselves from all over the United States who are, doing this work and trying to advance and, one day be and model the
Right.
advisory board members
Yeah.
back with. And, we're so excited. We have a new director of the Keystone Diversity Life Science Program, Ireland Ricks, and she has really rolled out other initiatives, such as the underrepresented trainee scholarships. So that this provides trainees with the travel awards to be able to attend these meetings. So early on in their training, they can uh, have the opportunity to see exactly what it's like
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and
That's
attend conferences. In addition, there's also early career investigator travel awards. So for those of us that may be a little bit more advanced in our training, there's still the ability to obtain funds that will enable us to attend these meetings. Because as your scientific research focus evolves, it can often morph into a different direction.
right.
If you may not have trained previously, and so that's really you know, also the power of science Keystone Symposia conferences, that you can at one of these meetings very quickly um, get a broad sense of the field, and then at the same time establish some networks and collaborations that maybe help you move your research in a slightly different direction.
I think that's really great that there are travel awards available because at most PIs, if they're most PIs are like my PI, it's you've got to have an abstract and you've got to try to get a travel award to be able to go to meetings. And so I think that's great that the DLSP provides these travel awards. So that's great.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I'm involved in through the diversity and life sciences programs is setting up health disparities workshops. And so there have been these kinds of workshops at the Keystone meetings in the past, but they kind of died down a little bit in recent years, and now we're trying to bring them back. And so what this is going to be a focused 2-hour workshop where the focus is going to be health disparities in the theme for that Keystone Symposia conference. So even though I've never been to a conference, I'm able to help decide what the topic might be, what speakers we might be able to bring in. And I think it's going to be very great because the focus will be health disparities for a particular disease, or cancer, or something like that, depending on the theme of the meeting. And we're going to be talking about the science of health disparities research, and we're going to be talking about the ethics of health disparities research, and just try to get people to know more about that and think about that in their research, even if you're not thinking about it right now. And so I think that all of these programs that the DLSP provides is actually really fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds very exciting and so timely. I mean, there's not a story, every day in the news that reminds us of the importance of health disparity and equity in health. I mean, as scientists, we think, oh, we can just stay in the lab and focus on our our cultures and our mice. But we're doing this work to have an impact on people's lives, people's health. So I think that's so critical and important in this new aspect. Well, it's not new, but bringing more attention to it. And who other best to do this than the Keystone Symposia conferences. So, I'm sure you're going to do a great job with that.
Oh, thanks. We're just getting started on that. I hope that it goes well. I'm very excited about being able to help out with that because I agree it's very timely, and this is what we're in the field that we're in for. I mean, everyone has that thought of, I'm going to be a scientist to help somebody, right? So,
and you mentioned clinicians earlier.
Right.
It's just idea coming to me, but maybe we should even think about including that aspect a little bit more in these conferences.
Yeah, that's a very good idea.
In terms of bringing trainees who are in the pipeline, health disparities is one portal to increase diversity in the scientific workforce.
Yes, I would agree with that. So one other question that I have is, you mentioned networking and being in a cohort of people who go to the conferences and they have travel awards. That's one way to network with your peers. And then you can also network with senior scientists. Are there any events at the conferences where you can talk to people specifically, or are you kind of on your own to go up to people that you're interested in talking to?
Yes. There was one. I mean, in fact, how I found out about the Keystone Fellows meeting was on my application. They ask about your racial and ethnic background. So I filled in that information. And as a result of that, I was invited to a luncheon in which there were a group of scientists from academia and industry who were there talking about the program. But we actually went around the table. So there were a group of us from underrepresented backgrounds there at the luncheon. So all of those that had filled in that information were invited to this luncheon. And so there we met leaders of the Keystone Symposia Fellows program. Woody, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his last name, but Joe Viney from Biogen IDEC. So yes, that is also an opportunity to network with level folks. And then another thing I guess you can do is make a connection. So maybe you make a connection with one or two senior faculty, and then maybe you can ask them if they will introduce you to some other faculty that you have pre-identified that you want to talk to. But I think it's a skill that we have to develop. I can say it took me a long time to develop it. I'm not sure that I'm an expert at it now, but work at it and go. But people are very kind um, and they want to engage, they enjoy training scientists for the next generation.
That's probably one of the benefits, really, of having the smaller conferences, like you mentioned. So maybe the format lends itself to more interaction.
Yeah.
And so I think that these meetings sound really great. These conferences sound really great. I want to go to one right now.
The hard part is just tearing ourselves away, you know,
From the bench, yes.
from the
From the
bed,
lab, yeah.
right? That's right. Yeah. The life we love.
That's right. Or we wouldn't be doing it. Okay.
Good, good. So let's see. I think, did we cover everything?